Thank you for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. Let's take a look now at major stories on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers. It's the Nature News, the first paper before us. And of course, as you may have been following, today is day 2 of the Conference of Parties, the UN COP28, which kicked off in Dubai. And that is the biggest story on Nature News. Of course, the environment first, that's its mantra. And this high-powered conference kicks off in Dubai with high expectations on climate change solutions. The president of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, is also there. He's gone on to meet with King Charles of England, and that's even the picture story there. King Charles meeting with President Tinubu. And on the other hand, United Arab Emirates pledges $100 million to Loss and Damages Fund. We discussed this extensively. That's a very crucial part, that will form crucial part of this conference. And in the meantime, delegates are calling for aggressive action on climate change. It's going to be, a days-long affair, about 13 days or thereabout, where activist governments and other stakeholders will be meeting to talk about how best to for parties to commit themselves to better protection of the environment. Other stories there on the Nature News: deadly flood sweep through East Africa, leaving hundreds dead, displaced, and how auto repair shops in Jahi contribute to soil pollution. Also, media experts call for factual reporting on climate change in Nigeria. And next is The Nation. How federal government will tackle budget 2024 deficit. The Minister of Finance is speaking there. Wale Edun says measures will crash shortfall from 6.11% to 3.88% of GDP. Of course, the Senate as well as the House of Representatives begin debate on the 27.6 trillion naira budget estimates. In the meantime, more reactions this time around. Senator Jimo Ibrahim says the budget is brilliant. Of course, there are other information there. The budget is now going to be thrashed word by word, and all the other dimensions of this crucial budget will be addressed by the lawmakers. Lagos Abuja demolitions, Ohaneze kicks. We follow the rule of law. That's a reaction by the government. Edo PDP governorship primary process in shaky start. The Nation says FEMA needs 30 billion naira annually to fix federal roads. And Akwa Abiodun of Ogun State presents 703 billion naira budget 2024 estimates. Of course, it's the season of budget presentations across the country. In Ondo State, the latest on the crisis in governance, Ayedatu, the deputy governor, as well as the House of Assembly, closed ranks. EXCO, in the fallout of their meeting yesterday, adopt Abuja peace terms, and the House of Assembly withdraws suit against deputy governors and workers to get 35,000 naira. Nigeria-UK strengthen ties as Tinubu King Charles III meet. Next is Daily Trust. Daily Trust is leading with analysis by economists on how to get the 2024 budget right. Of course, LCCI, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in its reaction says the proposal is even low compared to South Africa, Ghana, and other countries. Rewane, another renowned economist, Bismarck Rewane, there quoted as saying Nigerians aren't interested in figures, but then the remainder of his, assertions are unknown. You have to, read up to get more of his findings in the fallout of the president's budget presentation. And senators, reps consider Tinubu's 27.5 trillion naira budget without details. Navy arrests 2 ships' crew for illegal fishing. 1,001 students on Kano State government's foreign scholarship departing to their respective destinations. There are picture stories for that report. 9 months after Lagos Airport International runway remains closed, Nigerian nurse in UK sacked, deported over prayer for dying patient, and villagers flee as soldiers leave Kaduna community. The Punch is next. New wage begins April. Federal government votes 24 trillion naira for salaries. Labour, federal government begin talks. Current wage regime expires March ending, says the Minister of Information. And FG laments fiscal deficit as reps condemn high MDA salaries, demand ICPC probe. On the Japa syndrome, with a rush of many Nigerians relocating abroad, federal government urges varsities to produce more doctors. Kwara Monarch, 2 others bag life jail for kidnapping. Assembly drops suit against Ayeda Tiwa's ESCO embraces peace in Ondo State. Regarding the CBN fund, Senate threatens to order gas companies probe. And FG pays 585 million naira fines begin nationwide. Prisoners released. That's the picture of the Minister of Interior, Tunji Ojo, there. Of course, that has also been in the news of late. And on Nigerian News Direct, January to December budget cycle, inflation to blame for poor implementation of 2023 budget. That's an assertion by certain governors. Appeal to lawmakers to hasten approval of 2024 budgets as implementations of 2023 state budgets suffer backlogs. Of course, that's also a desire of the president for the budget cycle to return to January to December, as well as the concern of many regarding the poor implementation of past and current budgets. Ayeda Tiwa presides over Ondo Exco meeting as lawmakers withdraw appeal. That's also been, reverberating so far. Next is Nigerian Tribune. 80% surge in food importation alarming, says federal government, as 88.5 million Nigerians threatened with insufficient food consumption. Food inflation stood at 31.52% in October. Nigeria, it says, has highest rate of stunted children globally. Explains what is being done to reverse this menace. And of course, regarding the 2024 budget, reps call for fiscal responsibility as well as service reform, task executive on security, economic diversification, employment generation, as Senate leaders fault 9.9 trillion naira recurrent expenditure. Nigerians uninterested in budgetary arithmetic if bread, rice prices do not increase. That's from Bismarck Rwane, of course, a renowned Nigerian economist. Reps and CE argue over concrete technology for road construction. And in Edo State, ahead of next year's governorship election, the deputy governor, Shuaibu, is free to contest, but PDP members will decide Edo Guba candidate for the party. That is from the governor, Godwin Obaseki. Finally, this Nigeria reporting largely with this report that says 88.5 million Nigerians face insufficient food consumption. Federal government raises alarm over 80% surge in food importation. And up above the paper there, just beside the masthead, brainstorm on how best to fight crime. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike charges military. Over 98,960 residents living with HIV AIDS in Anambra. Of course, this is December. World AIDS Day is also being marked, and it's going to be yet another attention on how best to protect people around the world from the deadly HIV AIDS, or will I say the worrisome HIV AIDS in Anambra and indeed across the country. Police indulge in commercial activities on Southeast Roads. Ohaneze alleges Nigerians not interested in budgetary arithmetic if bread and rice prices remain the same. And finally, this report on the CBN 135 billion naira gas probe, which also made it to the front page of this Nigeria. The National Assembly may involve EFCC, says Senator Jarigbe. Theo.
We'll move to the Blueprint newspaper. And it says here, the build header, Nigerians will enjoy improved power supply soon, according to the federal government. Transmission distribution greatest obstacle, says PCAN. Ohaneze applauds Tinubu's decision to release Kanu. No students killed in Abuja school, says NSCDC. 27.5 trillion naira 2024 budget realistic, said Senate. Kidnapping. Kwara court sentences Sarakin Fulani, 2 others to life in prison. COP28 opens in Dubai. Leaders urge speedy action against rising climate crisis. That's in the blueprint this morning. We move to the Vanguard newspaper. Federal government's MDAs now undertakers of businesses. Man Neka. Supreme Court judgment tension grips Nasarawa. U.S. star diplomat Henry Kissinger dies at 100. 135 billion naira CBN intervention fund Senate to unleash EFCC, ICPC, and defaulters. That's in the Vanguard this morning. And of course, you can see the cartoon there, Mr. and Mrs. Debt servicing for 2024 is 16% poverty watchers. That's according to the Business Day this morning. Jakba hurricane crumbling Nigeria's healthcare system. CBN's proposed capital raise for banks seen boosting foreign investments. And that's it on Business Day this morning. We move to the Guardian newspaper. Amid ravaging scourge, HIV cure vaccine still elusive, 42 years on. Nigeria missing as HIV prevention products for women arrives 11 African nations. Reps knock oil operators over letdown of host communities. Lagos Assembly takes inventory of failed state roads. National Assembly begins debate on 2024 budget despite debt servicing concerns. Lagos Assembly takes inventory of failed state roads, 135 billion naira intervention funds. Senate may alert anti-graft agencies on recovery. UN leaders call for action, higher ambition as COP28 opens in Dubai. Leadership newspaper says here, Leadership Friday, boat mishaps. Waterways authorities blamed for 911 deaths. Stakeholders decry avoidable casualties as nuanced regulatory lapses persist, say many passengers have no access to life jackets. Bandits kill 18 hunters, injure others in Taraba State. OPEC finally agrees on oil production cuts. We lost 200 billion naira to CBN Naira redesign policy, says poultry farmers. At Olatimi's book launch, Oshoba says Additional was right to defend Buhari. That's in the Leadership newspaper this morning. And finally, Daily Independent is saying here, Lagos demolition. Ohaneze insists state government must compensate victims. Issue executive order for state, local government, police. Afenifere tells Tinubu. Senate reps open debate on 2024 budget, insist on implementation. Plan for integrated national electricity policy underway. Kogi Gubapol. Security operatives takes over INEC office in Lokoja. COP28. Countries agree on a loss damage fund. Appeal court dismisses suit seeking implementation of impeachment of Ondo deputy governor. The last one here says we won't tolerate sabotage of drugs, war, Marwa warns. That's in the Daily Independent this morning.
All right, so so many prominent stories there. Of course, President Tinubu once again in the news, not just for the presentation of the budget, but of course, as we have been following, especially for us news junkies. Shortly after presenting the budget, the next big thing for him was to join his counterparts in Dubai for the ongoing COP28. And, you know, the first day of the COP28 also had him meeting with King Charles III, who is also a strong advocate of, you know, better environment and, you know, that was topical, and we saw that in the papers. Also, the last hasn't been heard regarding the budget presentation, which the president did. Yeah, we're looking at Punch now. Tinubu meets with King Charles, Nigeria, and others eye 261 billion naira, the loss and damages fund, which has been a pending matter now since COP27 in Egypt. And of course, like I was saying, the budget, you know, back home there are, of course, you know, other weighty issues here in Nigeria. And one of them is the issue of the budget of renewed hope, expected to begin with implementation, so to speak, by January 1 next year. So time is of the essence. The senators, the House of Reps have, of course, started working on it. Further details are, going to come in due course regarding how, crucial sectors will get what, and how the ministers and heads of department and agencies will also defend the funds that will be accrued to them, and how they're going to disburse them accordingly. We've gotten reactions, so to speak, and there will definitely be more during the next days. Of course, the PDP has spoken about the budget. They called it a padded one. And while Nigerians appreciated the fact that, yes, we need an opposition to also keep the incumbent administration on its toes, they also need to do the work of opposition well, because how do you talk about a budget being padded? How do you talk about a budget being deceptive when you don't even, break it down, so to speak, or you don't even bring in your own version of what you think an appropriate budget would be? There are also people who think that the PDP is still smarting from the loss, they suffered, at the 2023 polls. But most importantly, economists are also speaking. Bismarck Rewane is in the news, and he said, this particular quote has been trending, so to speak. Nigerians uninterested in budgetary arithmetic. Nigerians are not, keen on, all the grammar, all the figures that you splash out absolutely, in the budget. If, the price of bread and rice especially does not increase. So what will really catch Nigerians' fancy, he says, is if by this time, perhaps in 2 months' time, they are not buying rice at 60,000 naira. It slashes by half at least. Or, we know how much bread, a loaf of bread costs now, that will not even do for a normal household. If the price goes back to normal, before now it's about 1,300 or thereabout now. If it goes
now
back,
it's 1,300.
If not even more than, because now, if it goes, so that is what will really catch the attention of many Nigerians.
I think it boils down to infrastructure. If we have good roads, and a lot of these villages where this food comes from, that farm, do not have good roads to transport the goods from one point to the other. And I've realized something, Kemi. If you're trying to get food in the villages, it's cheaper than getting in the city. The city put the cost of all of these things into perspective in the pricing, infrastructure development, including roads, electricity. Like we have in the blueprint, it says Nigerians will enjoy improved power supply soon. That's according to the federal government. And I do hope it happens so that factories can have power to provide all of these things, good roads. We don't have to import some of these raw materials that we use in preparing all of these things. For instance, now, some bread makers still have to import some of these
of the raw materials
into the country. If that is greatly reduced, I am very sure the price of all of these things will go down, because even the likes of pay TV is trying to increase price. Everyone's trying to increase price because of inflation and all of that. But if we have infrastructure in place, a lot of these issues will not come up. Nigerians will be able to provide what they need at the needed time. If you have constant power, you might not need to buy a generator. That's an economy on its own. You might not need to buy a generator in your house. You can decide to have several side hustles because you have power. You can have a cold room, you can have a barbing shop, you can have several small businesses while still working
and
somewhere.
Avoid all those, unattractive expenses that you incur.
Because if you have to open, for instance, a barbing salon, you need a generator. And you also talk about constant fuel supply.
And of course, all of that will now
add to
affect the charges that the average customer will have to pay.
I think a carton of chicken recently was going for about 30 or so. You are right now. There's no one gender right? Now.
So we are hearing stories of husbands accompanying or partners accompanying, people accompanying their partners to the market to shop. I want to see.
You will not blame them, because you'll be wondering that.
How can I give you money for this now? And next week it's time to stock up on house essentials, and then you tell me things have jumped up again.
These cold rooms that sell chicken, These people that sell essentials using power use generators. They have big generators and they have to constantly leave it on so that you can have something to buy. So if we have electricity sorted, trust me, all of these things, the price of it will all go down.
All right. Well, the president has said it's the budget of renewed hope. And of course, he has got his eyes on, critical sectors of the economy, security, job creation, and the likes. And of course, this forms, major concerns for Nigerians. And many good people are with him on this, praying and, urging the administration to do the needful in fulfilling these promises.